Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for November 7th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
I'm the Chris Brown.
And I'm Will Shulak.
This week I'm going to kick off here with Avengers. This is issue number 33. This is the last issue of Avengers before we jump into Marvel Now. Again, I'm behind, but it's the last issue. Looks like a lot's going on.
Didn't the Wasp come back?
The Wasp is back, indeed. So who do we got in there? She's not in the front little bubble. She's in one of those. Was she in the Avengers or New Avengers?
I don't know. Bendis is basically putting all the toys back in their box before he hands it off to Jonathan Hickman.
Well, and Brother Voodoo is back, and
so
Brother Voodoo,
something like
Brother
that.
Doctor.
All of the stuff is going back to square one, so Jonathan Hickman has a clean slate to work with, which is actually fair.
Agreed. I think he'll do a great job no matter what, though. I'm excited about his run. Then I'm looking at A vs. X Consequences number 5. This is more Cyclops in prison, but it's kind of jumped up a little bit. We've now got Danger and Magneto and Magic are in here. Some other shenanigans afoot. I missed the last issue, so I'm not really sure what was going on. I know there's some things going on outside the prison, but there's also the whole deal with Cyclops and his followers and inside the prison. So should be cool, and that'll, I guess, launch us forward into the whole Avengers, X-Men, new Marvel Universe deal, I guess.
The art's nice in it, too.
Yeah, looks. Who's doing the art on that? Gabriel Hernandez Walta?
I've never heard of him, but the art just looks cool to me.
Yeah, it does look cool. Then I'm looking at Detective Comics number 14. This is the second issue of John Layman's run, and I did really like that first issue with Penguin. This one looks like it's got Poison Ivy in there, so it should be pretty cool. I think while I've said before I'm not a huge Batman fan. It's not that I dislike Batman. Just I like Batman when there's good Batman stories, and right now I feel like they're telling a lot of good Batman stories, and I dig that. Next up, I'm looking at Dial H, number 6. This has been a really, really fun book. I've enjoyed the Dial H for Hero and all the stuff that they've done over the years. This art really looks great, too. Who's doing this? It's kind of more of they've made it more of a horror book, which I think is cool. Who is that artist? Oh, Mateus Santaluco. There we go. All right. It looks really great. Fun book. If you're liking the DC horror stuff, you should probably be checking that one out. And I'm sure you're also checking out Animal Man. Animal Man number 14. This is Rot World Part 2, The Red Kingdom, or The Red Kingdom Part 2. Animal Man's been great, and they've got a really big vision where they're combining all of the Swamp Thing and the Animal Man, and they even threw Frankenstein and the Agents of whatever that was, Shade, threw that in there, although that book, I believe, is ending after all this stuff is done. Cool stuff. Really, really interesting. Is that Steel? Steel's in there. Like, they threw a whole bunch of characters in there. John Constantine's in this one. Fun stuff.
Would you consider that horror?
Absolutely. It's kind of the old school comic horror to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, you've grown up in this new generation of horror where everything's bloody and nasty. It used to be where things could just be a little spooky and off and weird, and I think DC's doing a great job with that. And Swamp Thing is another one. Maybe we should refer to it as macabre more than horror. But Swamp Thing's been another great one. This one here is written by Scott Snyder and Yannick Paquette. Yannick Paquette's a great dude. Had an opportunity to meet him at Fanfare a couple weekends ago in Dearborn. And he drew a Swamp Thing on a baseball for me. So obviously I'm all stoked about that. This has been pretty cool. Again, this is Rot World, The Green Kingdom, Part 2. Cool stuff. Then I've got Planet of the Apes, Cataclysm, Issue 3. This is by Boom. This is more of the Karina Bechko, Gabriel Hardman stuff. And it's been pretty cool. Yeah, I love the art. I think the art's really fantastic. I don't think Hardman's doing the art, though.
No, he's writing, I think.
Yeah, he's just writing with Karina Bechko, but it has a similar style to what he's doing. So I kind of dig that. Then The Pound, Part 3. This one was kind of a sleeper for me. Kind of came out of nowhere, and I primarily grabbed it just because it had proof in it. These are the guys that are working in Cleveland. You know, it was kind of, they started out as dog catchers, and the next thing you know, they're catching Wolfman and Creature from the Black Lagoon and all this bizarreness in their town. And I've always suspected Ohio anyway. There's, I'm running for president in 2016 on the campaign that I'm going to wipe out Ohio and expand Cedar Point. So vote Chris Brown in 2016. We've got Harvest issue 4. This has been a really, really cool, weird, bizarre book about harvesting organs. It's a doctor who kind of gets caught up in a whole mob thing. I could kind of see this as a TV show or even as a film or something. Really, really bizarre and cool. I dig it. I think the art's really cool, and it's harvesting organs and crime and nonsense.
More macabre.
I would say it's a little bit more macabre.
That might be actual horror, though, by today's
well,
standards.
right. True, yeah, a little bit more of that kind of torture porn madness.
Does it have a bunch of, like, screaming teenagers? Oh, you killed Billy!
No, not quite. It's kind of mostly adult types and angry businessmen selling organs.
Nice.
Then we got Mars Attacks #5. This is another. This is my second John Layman book. Of the week here. I think this book's just been fun. I'm just having a good time with aliens, Martians attacking the planet. He's doing a great job of trying to combine the original trading cards in there too, which I think's fun. There's that one bizarre bugs attack or whatever. Well, he wrote a story about a flea circus, and then that guy, the fleas get big, and then he's fighting Martians. Awesome. In this one, we got Native Americans, I believe, have come back from the past, and really just weird, fun, cool stuff. That is the bulk of my stack. Where does that put us? That takes us to you?
Yes. My first, what I picked up for this week, what I'm gonna pick up is Storm Dogs issue #1 from Image Comics. I just thought sometimes Image, these #1s, like, even though you're never gonna read them again if you don't like it, it's cool. Their #1s are usually bigger than the other issues, and I didn't get to finish through this one. But
is it cool? It looks like kind of a military thing?
Yeah, it looks kind of like military sci-fi. I think, like, there are some people who might be like these rebels, and then like these other like advanced species of the people come in, and I don't exactly know what's going on, but it's decent art. I don't know if I'm ever gonna read it again, but it looks cool. Storm Dogs #1. Then my next book is Moloch #1 Before Watchmen. This is basically one of the villains from Watchmen and telling his story. I really like this. This is J. Michael Straczynski, who is the author, and the art is done by Eduardo Risso, who did 100 Bullets, and I really like the art. It's really strong, and it's kind of...
It does look pretty cool.
Yeah. It's dark in the sense that it's just like how this villain formed into a villain. And it just was really good and fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the bulk of my stack.
I'm going to start off with the Manhattan Projects. Usually this is one that Chris will talk about. But I've got a lighter stack this week, so I'm going to talk about this one. Last issue, we got to see the Russian side of things.
Yes.
The Russian space program. And then at the end of that, the Russians teamed up with the Americans because the Americans caused some problems with some aliens. And now we're going to have to sort of...
What happens when you eat their leader?
Not a good plan. So yeah, now
3 issues behind.
Now the Americans have
fault.
to team up with the Russians to do battle with the aliens. Hickman's basically just been putting his pieces on the table, and we will find out exactly what those pieces are going to do very soon, I think.
I love seeing those pieces on the table, though. You're like,
yeah.
oh man! With each issue, there's just that fun little tidbit that he throws in there that's so bizarre.
We got a new character introduced last issue. It was just like Werner von Braun was a Nazi scientist who the Americans had captured. This I can't remember the guy's name. He was a Nazi scientist that the Russians had captured, and basically he's working for them. Helmut Grotta and the Dmitry Ustinov, who was running the Russian space program, and so they're teaming up. We've got the crazy Harry Truman in his weird sort of, I don't know, kind of Illuminati garb. There's some weird stuff in this book. This is a very, very strange book, but it's a lot of fun.
It's almost like what they wouldn't let him do with S.H.I.E.L.D. at Marvel.
Yeah, and it's a funnier version. It's got a sense of humor, which is not something you get a lot of in Hickman's work.
It's true.
So that's one of the things that I like about it. Next up is Earth 2. This is the conclusion of the... I guess they're not calling themselves the Justice Society yet, but it's the Earth 2 heroes, the Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, the Flash, the Atom, up against the new Earth 2 Solomon Grundy. The Green Lantern is basically gone into the green and trying to contact the gray to get it to stop devouring the world. But meanwhile, Solomon Grundy is kind of going crazy on Earth, while some secret government organization has decided to nuke, or international organization has decided to nuke Washington, D.C. to end the problem that way. So they've got like 40 minutes or whatever to save the day and keep Washington, D.C. from being obliterated. This is really totally different than the old Justice Society stuff. I mean, if you're looking for old-fashioned JSA Golden Age fun. That's not this book. This is a very strange modern book where really anything can happen because it's a whole new playing field. Next up, we've got Action Comics number 14. This is Grant Morrison and Rags Morales. It's Superman goes to Mars, and he battles the Multitude, which looks like a bunch of angels, but apparently it's some sort of fifth dimensional thing going on. So I think we're going to get the Grant Morrison version of Mixoplik, however you pronounce it. We've got another fifth dimensional imp in here that had already appeared. So this is Grant Morrison wrapping up his run on Action Comics. And if it's Grant Morrison doing like fifth dimensional creatures, you know it's going to be some wild stuff. There's a backup feature in here that's gotten some attention where Superman teams up with real-life scientist, what is his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson, to discover the true location of the planet Krypton. It is an actual star in our solar system. They've actually now kind of said exactly where Krypton was. It's like 27 light years from Earth.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's actually gotten a little bit of attention outside of comics because a real scientist did work with DC to figure out what star did meet the requirements of Krypton star, where it would be, it's the right location. So we now actually have pinpointed exactly where Superman comes from, and that probably won't matter in a few years because Krypton's been all over the place. When it started off, it was in this solar system.
Yeah.
Back in the 1930s. Next up, we got Green Lantern number 14. The new Green Lantern is taking on the Justice League. Obviously they are not too thrilled about somebody popping up as the Green Lantern, since Green Lantern was a member of the team. So now they're going to go see what's what. And looks like, as is the case with...
So do they come to Dearborn, or does he have to go to them?
I don't know. It doesn't actually show where they are yet. Dearborn, Michigan.
There you
So
go.
the Justice League come to Dearborn and fight a Green Lantern. Because they fight. Whenever you meet, when heroes meet, they fight.
And then they can hug it out.
And then they hug it out. So let's see, by the end of this, are they hugging it out yet? Or are we going to have a few... looks like there's no hugging in this issue. Looks like Superman lifts the car. But
he's been doing that since 1938.
Yeah, that's nothing new. So this is continuing the rise of the Third Army, where those freaky zombie creatures are running around. How this fits into that, I'm not really sure, but I guess they do. We do see Hal and Sinestro, both of whom are dead, but they won't stay dead.
Right.
And how the new Green Lantern fits into all of this. Good stuff. Pretty much moving the story ahead. Jeff Johns always does a pretty good job on this book. That's the bulk of my stack.
All right, well, I believe that brings me to my top pick here, which is Shadow Man number 1 by Valiant. Shadow Man was my absolute favorite of the Valiant titles back in the 90s. It was New Orleans jazz musician Jack Boniface, and he's fighting voodoo creatures and such in New Orleans. Really, really just cool stuff. Now, this looks different. There is a guy named Jack Boniface. That's not where it started in the original preview, but Jack Boniface, here we go. So that's kind of cool. Apparently there's another guy some time ago. They do a little tale of the past, and that's the thing that I read in the Valiant Black preview that they sent me a couple months ago. And obviously there's a Reverend Dark character coming in, and should be kind of cool. Or Master Dark, rather. I'm really excited. Now that I flip through here and see that they've actually got the Jack Boniface character, then yeah, I'm in. This should be a great book. I've loved all the other Valiant titles. I think X-O Manowar, Harbinger have been fantastic. And those were characters that I just sort of enjoyed in the old Valiant universe, so I'm excited to see what they're going to do with a character that I loved as much as this one. What do you got there, Will?
My top pick is Deadpool number 1. The writer is Brian Posehn and art by Tony Moore. Brian Posehn, he's actually a comedian, and I know Mr. Ortiz here really likes him a lot.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't pick up a Deadpool book in most cases, but this is one that I'm looking forward to too.
Because of Brian Posehn, the dialogue is pretty witty and funny, and basically Deadpool is this like person who might have been working for S.H.I.E.L.D., this like shaman, brought all the presents back to life, and now they're like dead zombie ghosts, and so Deadpool fights Roosevelt, and it's really just a fun little story.
Awesome.
Just cool and gory like a Deadpool book should be.
All right, with the cover by Jeff Darrow.
Yeah.
Nice. My top pick is Daredevil End of Days #2. This is Brian Michael Bendis returns to the book that really, I think, kind of put him on the map. Ultimate Spider-Man was a successful book, but really his Daredevil run was one of those kind of iconic runs that will go down as one of the best runs on Daredevil ever. He is joined by two fantastic artists, Klaus Janson doing the pencils, Bill Sienkiewicz doing the inks and the painting. Actually, David Mack, who's also done some great Daredevil stuff, is co-writing this with Bendis. This is it's kind of out of continuity. It's maybe in the future, though it doesn't really feel like it's that far in the future. This could just be like the ending of Bendis's run,
right?
But it's basically the last Daredevil story. This is Daredevil's Dark Knight, is how it's been described. Daredevil kills the Kingpin, and I believe he's either dead or missing. And longtime Daredevil character Ben Urich is now investigating that final Daredevil battle to see what's going on, to see what happened with Daredevil.
I love the Ben Urich character, and when he's handled well, he's one of the best characters in the Marvel Universe, at least in that street-level, non-powered character.
Yep, and Bendis is really good, so it's kind of a mystery story, and we're learning as he's learning, and we're going to see a lot of the Daredevil supporting cast show up in here. Again, I think the description of it's Daredevil's version of the Dark Knight. His last story, supposedly last story. It's an Elseworlds, what if, alternate future, whatever. But unshackled by continuity, and certainly very, very different than the lighter, happier Daredevil that's in the regular book now. There was a line in an early Daredevil book where Daredevil was in one of the Mark Waid Daredevils, where he's fighting like Claw. He's fighting like a real supervillain, and Daredevil thinks to himself, sometimes I really miss the ninjas. And actually, I miss the ninjas too, so if you miss ninjas, I bet there's going to be a bunch of ninjas in here, because next issue, it looks like we've got Elektra.
Oh, well, so, where Elektra is, you will find ninjas.
You will find red-clad ninjas all over the place. So, this Bendis' Daredevil is one of my favorite comics of all time. Getting to see him back on the book again is really a lot of fun. They've been working on this for years. I guess over the course of this series, they're going to have a lot of the artists who made Daredevil great do like a page here or there. Guys like Gene Colan. I guess Frank Miller said he has said all he needs to say on Daredevil, and
I've heard all I need to hear from Frank Miller.
But,
so
I think like Gene Colan is supposed to do a page or something, or do something. Just weird little flashbacks. They're going to be incorporating that, but fantastic artwork. I mean, Klaus Janson and Bill Sienkiewicz
in there, yeah.
That's a combination of titans, and this I don't think either of them have looked this good in a while. So good stuff.
Awesome. Well, yeah. I'd like to mention one other thing from this week. I mentioned the Swamp Thing and forgot to mention, and I know there's a couple of our viewers that appreciate when we do. There is a blank white variant of the Swamp Thing, so in whatever increment you wanted, so they shouldn't be scarce. But if you're into those blank white variants, that is out there. But yeah, a lot of good stuff this week. Be sure to check it out at your local brick and mortar store, preferably Comics and More if you're in the area. And that is your Week in Geek.